was sharing with my wife earlier. I said, honey, I'm going to give birth today. It's going to be my first podcast ever. It's going to be like a child being born. And you know, honey, like when the babies are born, how at first the baby is kind of like ugly. It's got all the placenta left over, some blood, kind of looks weird. I said, this is going to be the same, but it's starting today. That's the great thing about it. My name is Ari Gandera, your host. Welcome. I am a financial educator, certified through the National Financial Educators Council. I'm also the book author of The Great Credit Card Scam, Financial Wisdom for a Prosperous Life. And I'm also the founder of Financial Peace and Strength, Debt Relief Solutions, Financial Freedom for Freedom in Life. So welcome to today's first episode ever. Today, I want to share with you a very interesting concept which is not really talked about throughout the population, throughout our fellow Americans, and that is the concept of usury, the nasty evil of usury. And I'll be sharing with you about 4 basic points about usury. There's a proverb that says that the prudent person sees danger and takes precautions, but the simple one goes on blindly and suffers the consequences. The purpose of today's podcast is to open your eyes to the nasty evil of usury so that you may understand what it's all about, that you might be very careful and also warn your loved ones about this nasty evil. Usury is an unethical enrichment through taking advantage of the financially weak. And it is the spirit that is all behind the great credit card scam, the great credit loan scam, the great mortgage credit, the great auto credit, the great student loan credit. Usury operates all behind all those. So I want you to be aware about that today. Let me start by sharing with you the tool that they use in usury, which is called interest rates. Every time you get a credit card, every time you get a loan, whatever it be, the type, it is the interest rates that flame the oppression of usury. And let's start by talking about the bite of a snake. The original Hebrew word for financial increase attained through usury is called neshech or tarbi, and it is charging interest that resembles the bite of a snake. So imagine you charging your credit card. Imagine you paying your mortgage with that high interest. Imagine paying your auto loan with that high interest rate. And every time you pay it, the snake bites. The snake bites. That's what that is. Usury works through the biting of a snake. Imagine how many billions and billions of bites take place daily through usury all over the earth, because there are billions and billions of transactions being executed on an ongoing basis, second by second, throughout the earth, in all the nations. Are you being bitten by the snake of usury? Are you bleeding through the interest rates? Imagine how many people are bleeding through the biting of the snake, through usury. I want to share with you about George Floyd, and I can take you back to May 25th of 2020. Remember George Floyd up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He went into a convenience store known as Cups Food. He walks in there with a fake $20 bill, buys some cigarettes, and when he went up to pay, they were like, hey, buddy, this is a counterfeit. No, this is a fake bill. They call the cops, and you know the rest of the tragedy. He was resisting the police. They pinned him to the ground. They actually, you remember that officer that stepped on his neck with his knee, and he would pressure that knee against his neck. And it was horrible. I mean, 20 times. George Floyd cried out, please, please, I can't breathe. And of course, it was a horrific, it was a couple of minutes. It was captured by video. It happened for, not a couple of minutes, excuse me. It happened for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. Please, please, I can't breathe. And of course, we know that George Floyd died as a consequence of that police brutality. I want to talk about the spirit of usury behind that outcry. Please, please, I can't breathe. You feel choked up, right? With all these interest rates being charged against us, against the population at large. Usury is that merciless knee that constantly presses down on the financial neck of those experiencing misfortune. The cry of the financial hard wails in suffocation. I can't breathe. So let's examine the definition of usury. Usury, according to Investopedia, usury is the act of lending money at an interest rate that is considered unreasonably high. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary says that usury is the lending of money with interest charged for its use, an unconscionable or exorbitant rate of the amount of interest. Cambridge Dictionary says the activity of lending someone money with the agreement that they will pay back a very much larger amount of money later. The NOLO's Plain English Law Dictionary. Extending credit at an exorbitant or illegally high interest rate. States set their own maximum interest rates, and courts will not enforce payment of interest on a loan if the rate is usurious. Most credit card issuers are based on the states with no usury laws or caps on credit card interest rates. The Collins Dictionary says, usury is the practice of lending money at a high rate of interest. So, are you experiencing the suffocation of the spirit of usury? How many credit cards do you have? How many credit cards are you using? Truth be known, we're in March of 2025. And this great nation of ours in the United States has reached an all-time high credit card debt at right about $1.2 trillion. All-time high. Yes, inflation is also very suffocating nowadays. But credit card debt is really pressing the knee against the neck of the population at large. So I'm bringing these concepts to you so you might get freed up from the spirit of usury. If you want total financial freedom, if you want financial peace, and then gain financial strength in your life, you've got to understand the spirit that works behind the bite of the snake. Let's now talk about ancient traditions, because they've always denounced usury. It's always been considered reprehensible from the beginning of civilization. The laws in China and India sternly prohibited the spirit of usury. The society of ancient Athens scorned users. The Catholic Church censored individuals who practiced it. In England, usury until the 19th century was actually considered, in the charging of interest, it was considered usurious in England. Let's talk about our great nation of the United States. Our country adopted some of the same measures that were enforced in the United Kingdom. But then, of course, the Uniform Credit Protection Act in May of 1969 was enacted in answer to President Johnson's call to action for consumer credit legislation. The Quran, which is the holy book of the Muslims, forbids charging interest. The practice has been outlawed in various Muslim countries. So today there are various Muslim countries that when they extend credit, there's no interest rate whatsoever. And listen to the Jewish practices. In the book of Deuteronomy, this is what it says about not charging interest to your fellow Israelite. Do not charge a fellow Israelite interest, whether on money or food or anything else that may earn interest. You may charge a foreigner interest, but not a fellow Israelite, so that the Lord your God may bless you in everything you put your hand to do in the land you're entering to possess. The golden age of Israel was at around 1,000 years before the Christ era. And David, the king of Israel, wrote in Psalms 5 and verse 1, "Who may dwell in your sacred tent? Who may live in your holy mountain?" And then he says, the person that does not charge interest. So again, I want to ask you about your personal finances. How much on a daily or weekly basis do you fall into the bite of the snake? When you go put gasoline on your vehicle, do you get bitten by the snake? When you go to the grocery store, get your weekly groceries, do you get bitten by the snake? Are you living as a prisoner, engulfed by credit, engulfed by the bite of the snake? When you pay your rent, when you pay your mortgage, do you put it on a credit card? Do you get bitten by the snake through the spirit of usury? You cannot have prosperity. You cannot get financially strong if the spirit of usury is biting you constantly, because it is prosperity paralysis. So you got to come to this understanding of what the spirit of usury is and start doing something about it. Let's talk about the pandemic that all of us went through a couple of years ago, because the pandemic became a horrific situation throughout the world. By November of 2021, more than 260 million cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed across the globe, resulting in 5.2 million deaths. Hey, listen, some people that I knew died during COVID. I'm sure some people that you knew, perhaps someone close to you. And it was tragic. It was sad. And about 147 million people recover from the COVID-19. I had it in the summer of 2021. Horrific cough for about a month. I think back then I had gotten one COVID shot. Didn't want to, but I was like, man, this is really serious. So AstraZeneca was my COVID shot. In spite of that, I went through a horrible week or two of just coughing. And I mean, I never went to the hospital, thank God, but I really hurt for the people that went, and really hurt for the people that were intubated and lost their lives. So I recovered. And the virus has been difficult to understand. It was difficult to overcome, difficult to eradicate from the face of the earth. Here we are in 2025, and still some folks are getting sick from COVID. I had some clients over the last weeks or month that got COVID again. Some have gotten permanent damage. I've got another client who still suffers in a severe way and has just a lot of struggles with his lungs because of the COVID-19. So what I'm going to be doing in the next podcast is I'm going to share with you 7 different outcomes or seven different illustrations that will give you or communicate over to you this message as clear as perhaps you've never seen it before. And I'm going to use the example of you coming over to my farm and borrowing 100 eggs from me. So I want you to stay in tune. The next podcast is going to be entitled 7 Outcomes When Borrowing 100 Eggs. And what I mean by that is, if you come to me and borrow 100 eggs and I charge you no interest, I'm like, of course, yeah, take these 100 eggs, take them, use them, bring them back next week or a couple weeks from now. No problem. That's lending at 0% interest, and you bring back the eggs, and we're even Steven. Everybody's happy. Another outcome is, hey, Art, can I borrow 100 eggs from you? Sure. Take them. I'm going to give you an 18% interest rate on that, neighbor. So take these 100 eggs, but bring me back 118. Now, imagine some of the interest rates, some of the usurious interest rates nowadays going around. 29.99%, 30%. Hey, Art, can I borrow 100 eggs from you? Sure. Take them, neighbor. Have a nice brunch with your loved ones. But I'm going to charge you 29.99% for these eggs. Bring me back 130 eggs. Can you imagine that? And then let's talk about some of the loans that are circulating nowadays in our country. One Main Financial, who's a lender, which I call One Pain Financial, usually blends out at about 54 to 58%. Hey, Art, can I borrow 100 eggs? Sure. Take these 100 eggs, neighbor. I love you, neighbor, but I'm going to charge you a 58% interest on these 100 eggs. Bring me back in a couple of weeks 158 eggs. And let's not even get about some other galactic, usurious interests that are out there on loans that charge 200, 300%. And I will get during the next podcast into some horrific, evil, nasty loan companies who charge 700, 800, 900% interest. And people are like this, living choked up. The so-called payday loans. I can't breathe. And they're addicted week to week, every 15 days. I got to go get another payday loan. I can't make ends meet. I need some cash now. I got to go. Listen, this is with the purpose that your eyes might get open, that you may see the truth, that you might get indignation and hate these practices all around us. We are living in these current times under a spirit of usury that is from border to border and from West Coast to East Coast. And it has about 55 to 60% of the population like this. And truly the proverb is being seen among a large segment of our population that the borrower is a slave to the lender. We are witnessing 21st century slavery in the great land of America. And the reason why I bring this to you is so that you might see the truth, and whatever corrections, whatever adjustments you yourself as an individual, you and your wife, your entire family, whatever it is you need to correct and cut out of your life in this fight against the snake that bites the millions and the billions through the interest rates, through the spirit of usury, whatever it is that you need to do, make the right corrections. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to see your happiness. I want my happiness. Financial peace and strength has been created so that we might be able to free as many financial slaves as possible in this great land of America. And then that this spirit may just expand throughout other nations throughout the world. I am excited about this opportunity. I am elated that we can see impact, a positive transformation in people's financial lives, because I went through it. I was able to say goodbye to about $37,000 of credit cards that I had, maybe more. And you've got to come to a point where you say, enough is enough, no more. I'm not going to keep on losing my money to the great credit card scam. I do want you to be a deadbeat. If you are using a credit card or want to get one credit card, no more than two, and be a deadbeat in this entire industry, which interestingly enough, a deadbeat as to credit cards is the one who uses the credit card as an instrument of convenience and not as an instrument of debt. And the deadbeat uses the credit card but pays it off every month, fully paid for, so that the snake never bites. See that? So I want you to become agile, strong, pull out your sword and fight the battle in a great way and defeat the snake. Play the game, but play it out right. That's the purpose. That's the purpose of financial peace and strength. That you may live a life of financial freedom. Financial freedom for freedom in life. So that's pretty much it for today. I'm so happy and grateful that I was able to record this first segment, the first baby. Let's see how the baby came out. Hey, honey, I recorded my first podcast. What do you think of my first baby? And of course, we will see as the weeks and months and years progress, we will see how far we will keep on getting in touching the lives of as many as possible. Thank you once again for being with me today. Reach out to me, and as I will keep on reaching out to you. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye now.